Once we got to the hospital in Livingston Memorial Hospital, Jean arrived over there a few minutes after we had gotten there, and maybe up to half an hour after we got there, less than half an hour after we got there. And Grandma was admitted in the ER immediately, of course. They were taking care of her, and they were asking her questions of which she couldn't really give answers to very well. And I really appreciate Dan, the nurse over at Livingston Memorial Hospital. He's been really kind to Grandma, and he's a really good nurse over at Livingston Memorial. We really appreciate him. The doctor told us, after taking a scan of Grandma's head and showing us the stroke on the computer, that she had a 75% chance of dying within 48 hours. And it was really scary. It really hit home all of a sudden after they took the brain scan. The doctor showed us the scan and explained that this was not a clotting stroke. This was a hemorrhagic stroke, meaning that it was a bleeding stroke. And that it happened, if I remember correctly, in the thalamus region of the brain, which is the computer core, and it was pretty close to the center of the brain. It still occurred on the left hemisphere of the brain, and it was causing swelling against the right-hand portion of the brain. This was particularly dangerous because if it swole anymore, then there was a greater possibility that there could be a hernia in her brain, and if she had a hernia, she would likely die very quickly. So there was no way to really know what was going to happen over the next 48 hours. Grandma could suddenly get better, she could stay better for the next 48 hours, or she could just all of a sudden drop off and just die very suddenly. You can't depend on any improvements or decreases during that 48 hours. Whatever the doctor tells you, she still has that 75% chance that she's going to die. Although the best case scenario was she made gradual improvements and there were no decreases. As long as that happened during the 48 hours, we were cool. Which, fortunately, that was the case. Jean and I stayed with her in Livingston Memorial Hospital for those 48 hours whenever they were really waiting on her. The doctor couldn't do anything. It was all a waiting game. There was absolutely nothing that they could do for her. They felt helpless. We appreciate all the work that the doctors were able to do, and everybody, the staff at the hospital, were very gracious and made sure that my grandmother was comfortable as best as they could. And we just stayed with her for the next 48 hours. Jean would stay with her, and I would stay with her. Sometimes we traded shifts, and the only time that Grandma wasn't alone was whenever we went to lunch, because Jean and I usually went to lunch together. So for the next 48 hours, Jean and I took care of Grandma at the hospital. We just stayed in her room. I rented a hotel room nearby, and that way I could sleep at the hotel. Jean wanted to sleep at the hospital, and we could both take showers and other needs that we might need while we were out of town. We got to see Justin, Rachel, Anita, Tim, Natasha, Justin's girlfriend. We haven't seen them for a little while. They came on the first day that Grandma was in the hospital, the first full day. It was really good to see them, and we had a good lunch with them and talked with them about what was going on. They, like so many of other Grandma's relatives and friends, were out of town. My dad, Bonnie, Chris were in California. Grandma's cousin was in Tennessee. My brother is in Germany. I was about ready to go to the Caribbean. So So we decided as a contingency plan that if Grandma did pass away, that we would have a memorial service at the end of May, and that way everybody was able to make it. So after Grandma had survived for 48 hours, I decided to go ahead and go on my vacation anyway, since we already had a contingency plan. So I've been here for almost 2 weeks now. It's 20th. Actually, it's the 21st. My mom died just 5 years ago, almost exactly an hour ago, 5 years ago. And anyway, Grandma is she's in Evergreen now, and Jean says that she has good days and that she has bad days. That Grandma's not really making any more improvements right now. So at this point, Grandma is just sitting in bed, or laying in bed, whatever the case may be. And that one night, Grandma fell out of her bed, and they put her back in bed one night. Other than that, there's been no change with Grandma. But since I've been in the Bahamas, I've been really feeling that I need to pray for Grandma's healing. When I get back, which is going to be Thursday, I'm going to stay the night in Billings, and then on Friday I will go to Livingston and see Grandma first, and then head on to Gardner, because I have to be at work in Gardner on Friday night. So that's the update so far about Grandma.